Today, I want to talk about production forecasting. So, if you are running a painting business, especially as you scale past $4 or $5 million in revenue, forecasting becomes a very, very critical piece of your operations. And so, what I like about Airtable is that you can have one source of truth for all the projects in your company that are to be produced. And you can have views that only crew leaders see, different views that your sales rep sees, different reviews that your scheduler sees. But what we're going to do in this is actually create an interface for our operations manager to be able to see how many hours are scheduled to be produced in any given month in the coming, 1 to 4 months. So we're going to dive into this right now. I'm going to start out by just giving a quick glance at the data that fuels our interfaces here. So you always want to have a projects table. However you set up your bases, projects is going to be pretty critical. And this project table has over 165 fields in our case that are all going to be relevant for tracking all the different data points that we need to be able to build the reports on top of this. So what I'm going to do here is create an interface in the operations level. And this is going to be a dashboard. And we are going to build this not on the projects, but on the events. And the reason we want to do it on the events is because sometimes projects are very large in scope, and not all of the revenue of that project gets completed in the month that it's scheduled or that it was won in or when it started. So by using a projects with sub events, that gives us the flexibility to have some events that are started and completed within a couple of days in the same month, or you could have events that are strung out over multiple months, but all roll up into the same project. So we're going to build this off of the events table. And now that we're in here, what I want to do is we want to show the data source of the tables that we're trying to put here. I'm actually going to call this production forecasting. And we could also name this production forecasting here as well. All right, so this first one here, we want to say that the x-axis, since we're looking for by month, we want to do x-axis is not project type, but we want to do start date, event start date. And we want to bucket these by month. And then on the y-axis, we want to show not the count, but we want a summary of estimated event hours. So we are going to do estimated event hours. And now this is saying, or actually, sorry, we need to also look at aggregate. We're going to do sum. So what this is doing is saying that we have 4,205 estimated event hours in April, 2,348 in May, 1,274 in June, and so on. So this is a part of it. The next thing we could do if we want to have this be for like a future looking thing, we could have this set up to say, I only want to see event start dates that are after, let's say, after 1 month ago. There we go. We are now seeing May. We're going to see the current month, the next month, and so on. So this is one way that we can see how our production is going to be changing, or how much we have booked in the coming months. The other thing that we could also do is duplicate this, and instead of showing hours, we can see hours on this side, but we could change this to show a summary of our amount, estimated amount. So let's do total amount. And this would give us an idea of the amount of revenue that, this is still, we need to do not distinct, but sum once again. So this is saying we are going to produce 500,000 in June and 393 in July, and so on. So these are two ways that we can show production or show forecasting for this. And again, because this is all in Airtable, I could click into this and allow the user of this table to see which jobs are scheduled and how many hours are in that job, and so on. So that is a really big to keep in mind. The one thing to decide or try and think about is, do you want to show revenue? Like basically, do you want to go based on start date or end date? And you could, I guess there's a way you could say, I want to put the job into the month that the event start date is. And then you would have to be very mindful in the events table to make sure that if you have any jobs that are going to spill over from one month to the next, that you basically duplicate that event record and you create a new event for the remaining portion of the job that's going to be in the following month. If you don't do that, that would kind of throw off your forecasting there. Kind of an interesting or complex topic. So I'm going to be working on some different variations or different ways of showing this. But if you have any questions of things that you'd like to see, let me know. And we would be happy to dive into how this looks or some different ways of potentially showing this information. Thank you so much for watching. Drop your comments down below, and we'll see you in the next video.